Game 2 is getting underway right now, though. I don't think Ostkaka is going to play the same deck twice in a row. He's been pretty much shying away from that the entire time. But Jab, not a stranger to playing the strategies and running them back.
Yeah, he's very known for it, actually, in HPL. Kind of like Show, just sticks to his guns. Same thing as Zalay.
Yeah, well, they're going to swap positions in this one, and Jab's opening hand looking not so great right now. No, neither is Ostkaka's. I don't even necessarily expect him to keep this Fiery War Axe in his hand. The more that I sort of play this Grim Patron deck, the less and less I want Fiery War Axe versus a Druid. The real reason it's in your deck is feels like to just take care of the first half of Pilot Shredder.
Yeah, it doesn't actually do a whole lot. Jab's Druid hand, not great, but we've seen him win games like this multiple times this season.
Yeah, this one's looking particularly bad, though. Keeper of the Grove is not exciting in this matchup. 2 Savage Wars, obviously he doesn't want these right now. Force of Nature's dead, and Ancient Allure, this isn't until turn 7. This is looking like a big advantage to Ostkaka right now.
Yeah, he really needs his buddy Piloted Shredder here.
Yeah, he needs his buddy Wild Growth, too. Ostkaka, not the best draw on the second Grim Patron, but Battle Rage is active at this point, too. So plenty of room to work with here. And he's thinking about developing this Fiery War Axe. I don't blame him for this either. If Jab plays some minions here, he doesn't want to have to invest that mana into the Fiery War Axe later. Just wants to be able to get threats on board and keep fighting the tempo battle.
Yeah, I just completely agree with you. The Fiery War Axe, in the matches that it's really good, it's great. In the matches that it's bad, it's just, I almost would want a mulligan in this matchup.
Yep. So Armor Smith, I think, very likely to be played here with Jab moving into a Piloted Shredder turn. Anytime you can pick off a 1 health minion that drops from it, you are in great shape after that.
Yeah, just not many other options here as well. Coining out a Gnomish Inventor, not very exciting. You want to hold on to this coin in case you find Emperor over the next couple turns.
Yeah, I don't mind coining Gnomish Inventor. This does give him a better chance to kill the Piloted Shredder drop. So it is pretty reasonable here, but again, I sort of agree with you. I'd like to see him keep the coin and look for some bigger turns with it because they're so important versus this deck.
Well, we've seen him be so patient with Emperor in the past that maybe he just doesn't value it as high as we do.
That's also another thing too, is that Ostkaka has been the one player that we've seen hold on to Emperor for basically as long as he could.
Yeah, I mean, I understood his reasoning for it too, and I actually liked it the more I thought about it. The hand that he had at the time didn't need Emperor Thaurissan to be good. He needed it, when you drew all the other half of the decks. He had one half of the combo, not the other half of the combo, and he needed, all of it together. So he had to wait 3 or 4 turns for his hand to pan out correctly to make his Emperor Thaurissan actually good. Plus, he had the time to do so.
Yeah, I actually really like the Frothing Berserker in this spot too. Does have an Execute in his hand so he can keep grabbing tempo with it. And it's important for him to actually get something on the board to contest future threats. He has to be able to handle what's happening and keep Jab in check at every single step of the way, because if Druid gets ahead on this board, you're suddenly looking at very dangerous spots.
Now, if you're Jab, what do you do this turn? Do you just silence the Frothing Berserker, or do you use Force of Nature as a removal spell?
I think this is the removal spell time, and it's kind of rough to do so, but we've also seen Jab play this matchup a little bit differently than a lot of players have. Like in his match versus Dog, for instance, he just killed everything that Dog played.
Yeah, he actually made the game go super long and got to a point where Dog had no damage left in his deck and fatigued him out with this. This is something Jab has actually practiced before. I've seen him do it on stream as well. If he has the hand to do it and the game works out that way, he's perfectly comfortable doing that.
Do you think this is a Grim Patron turn? Looks pretty darn good to me. Drew does not have a lot of ways to handle these kind of board positions, and he just saw a Force of Nature.
Yeah, he just saw a Force of Nature, so, I mean, you have to get the read that maybe Jab's hand is not very good and very heavy going forward from here, so, yeah, I love this.
Yeah, not a lot of strong plays from Jab in this spot either. Just,
well,
Wrath would be really good here.
He could use Savage Roar as a removal spell and then silence the other Grim Patron here. It does sound bad, but what else are you going to do?
I mean, I guess that's the play. It does take care of Grim Patron in terms of the activations of it, but just this is not how he wants to be using his turns, and this is not how he wants to be using his tools.
I 100% agree with you here, but you have to do what you have to do, and he just needs to live. I mean, if you can get to a couple of turns where, the thing about the Grim Patron deck is it's going to have a turn somewhere unless it runs you over where it doesn't do anything great. And if he ever gets that turn from Ostkaka, that opening, his hand gets a lot better. He gets a chance to play Ancient of Lore and get some cards or regain some life. Develop a Sludge Belcher and a Shade of Nexramas. Like, it gives him a chance to get back in the game.
And wants to just hunt for bigger turns.
Yeah, he's hunting for bigger game.
Speaking of hunting for bigger game here, this is an opportunity to Battle Rage for 3.
Yeah, he's got a good chance to Battle Rage for a ton here.
Instead, is going to go with Slam first. I don't mind this at all. Wants to get some value out of this Fiery War Axe that he played. And with Emperor getting picked up, this is 100% getting burned here for 2.
Well, he might actually just use, he might just use his Grim Patron here, gain an armor, and draw an extra card. But
I am a little bit interested by that. It looked to me like he wanted to avoid using the Grim Patron at all.
I think you wanted to not give a bunch of value from swipe to jab, but like the thing is, does it even matter anymore since you picked up the Emperor and you're gonna be able to make this whole hand cheaper and probably go off within the next turn or two?
Right, it's like you want him to swipe right here.
Yeah, it's like, what? I mean, you just gotta shrug if he swipes you here.
Yep.
And we can see jab doesn't even have it.
Yep, Sylvanas is likely gonna force this entire board to be focused into the Sylvanas. But again, I don't think Ostkaka minds that at all. When you're gonna be able to kill Sylvanas and then play an Emperor and pass when you're at, I don't know, 23 life against a Druid.
Yep. It's going to be a clear board with an Emperor on it. I mean, he can even use a Slam. Well, no, I'm sorry. He can't use a Slam this turn because then he won't be able to play the Emperor. But yeah, he's going to be able to use a little bit of his life total, take care of the Sylvanas here, play an Emperor on an empty board, and you've got to know that Jab is going to be, reeling in his seat after that play.
It's just, that's such a hard play to come back from. He doesn't have a clean answer to it. Can silence it, or he could use Savage Roar and then use the other Keeper of the Grove and then take 5 damage. He's sitting at 17 too. He can't just keep taking damage every turn.
Yeah, you can't just keep taking damage a turn. Ostkaka, he's still got, a card draw spell in his hand too, because as we see, he doesn't have, the nuts going forward from here, but this hand will probably be good enough.
Good enough indeed. I mean, he's got a lot of tools to start getting the job done, and Jab in a miserable spot. Picks up a little bit of tempo play now on this Emperor Thorson, but the damage I feel is done from that card.
Yeah, he does get to go Keeper of the Grove, Shade, Wrath this turn. So at least he's developing a board here because he does have a Savage Roar in his hand. Maybe if Ostkaka's hand, doesn't pan out from here, he can see himself winning from here, but he knows that he's in a dire spot.
Yeah, it's just, Ostkaka's hand have to be complete garbage for the rest of this game, and it is anything but complete garbage. It is pretty darn good.
Yeah, he's a worse on commander from just winning the game outright.
I'm curious if this Death Spite's ever actually pointed at face here.
If he had a Warsong Commander, I definitely would 100%, but there's a chance he might just want to elongate the game a little bit and just take care of the Keeper of the Grove. But then you don't have a slam target, but you might want to save it for one of your own, Grim Patrons that turn. But
yeah, I mean, I don't blame him for killing this here, but
well, I was going to say he's looking for a Warsong Commander. Yeah, so next turn, yeah, you're going to see him Death Spite here now.
My question still is this pointed upstairs or is this taking out the Keeper? Like if your opponent has Force Signature, Savage Roar, Innervate.
Yeah, I think about
Savage Roar.
I think you play around dying here as much as possible. Just try to play around dying here, and then from there it's an easy win next turn.
Yeah, just he can't die to any combinations of cards. Like I'm trying to think of anything reasonable. Yeah. Force Signature Savage Roar it would be 23 damage. Even that's a few points off.
Yeah, Jab has to know that he's all but dead here.
When the Death Spite goes upstairs.
Yeah, it's one of two things. It's usually either complete desperation or that you're dead, and it's more likely that you're actually just dead.
Especially when they're at 28.
Yeah.
I'm so desperate with 7 cards in my hand and 28 life versus no real board presence.
It could be like double execute, double inner rage, double slam, like just all the filler.
That feels like a pretty good hand to me.
Yeah, but I mean, you're not killing anyone with that hand. I mean, you're killing their
minions.
Yeah,
you're killing Sylvanas with that hand.
Yeah. Well, so you're killing minions, but what else are you doing?
Yeah, Ancient Lore, this is very likely to draw cards at this point.
And then that's going to be it.
He heals for 5 instead, so doing what he can, but 4 looks like...
Frothing Berserker makes it even.
Oh yeah, now the game's complete. Even before I think it's done, it's 6 Grim Patrons because of the Warsong Commander. So yeah, this game was done at every single step of the way. Ostkaka, 2-0 lead now over Jab. The roles being reversed in this situation, not good enough.
Yeah, we've seen this a few times this season where players will play a matchup and then it actually switches after the second game because they each selected the other person's deck. But it's weird to see that Ostkaka win both sides of this matchup.
Yeah, it is a little bit strange to look at that and see that that's what's happening, but just, what can you do in this spot? Jab had such a miserable opening hand, and I think it's just a product of his deck. Sometimes you're just not going to get the right cards.
Yeah, sometimes you're just not going to get the right cards, and even this free execute here, if just in case something were to go wrong.
Just in case my opponent played a gigantic taunt minion. Jab easily could have had Iron Bark Protector right here.
Iron Bark Protector? I haven't seen that guy in a long time.
I don't think I've ever seen him played and constructed, but just beautiful game from Ostkaka. I mean, he played it perfectly at every single step.
And I'm telling you this, if he wins this match, and then if he wins his next one, all of his opponents the rest of the season, they've got to be a little worried.